Today on the news and why it matters, everything you need to know, or maybe never wanted to know, about the Democratic presidential debate coming up tonight. Also, Attorney General Barr is considering quitting the DOJ because of Trump, according to a new report. We have got a lot to get into on today's show, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by host of Stu Does America, Stu Burgier himself.
Yes.
In the flesh.
Thank you for having me.
Back with us. Thank you for being here. I know it is a difficult show to make with, you're Mr. Hollywood now and you've got your own gig.
Yes,
so.
screw my show. I'm doing this one.
Great. We appreciate that. Social media guru Jason Howerton back in studio from paternity leave. Thanks for being here.
Welcome.
And Aaron Colin, the Blaze.com's own Aaron Colin, or as I like to call him, my favorite reporter.
I still have that? Okay.
Just don't.
Well, John Carlin's not here. Yeah.
Just I hope no one else is watching the show. Sorry. So the Democratic presidential debate is, of course, set for tonight. Let's talk about the ins and outs, because I didn't realize this until I actually looked at these note cards, that Tom Steyer did not make this debate.
Sad.
It is sad. So now there will only be one billionaire on the stage, which is now Mike Bloomberg is going to be in the debate. So they're still maintaining the one billionaire quota that they have on stage.
The billionaire who's not actually on the ballot in the state that they're doing the debate, which makes perfect sense.
By
the way, Steyer had a poll that came out 2 days ago where he was at 18% in first place. And he's not actually in the debate in the state where he may be in the, he's at another one where he was, I think, in third place. He's been at the top tier. This is where he's really flooded, this in South Carolina is where he's dumped all of his money. And you want to talk about lighting money on fire. Look, blowing $1 billion from Michael Bloomberg is no big deal. Blowing $400 million for Steyer, like that, he's going to be he will barely be a billionaire when this thing is over. He's only 1.8, I think, is what he has. This is a terrible existence.
Who is selecting him as their top candidate? I would like to talk to some of those people.
Maybe?
I don't know. I feel like he just took that on once. Who was it? Hickenlooper or some Inslee or somebody went out.
Yeah.
I feel like he just took that on. It's like, well, this can be my thing now. But
he's been a big global warming guy. I mean, he is a legitimate Bernie Sanders liberal level guy. I mean, he's a
Bernie Sanders fanboy for sure.
He's a Bernie Sanders fanboy.
Number one fan.
He started a petition to get the president impeached in mid 2016 or 17. I think it was 17.
Really?
Yeah, he's the one who started that real movement. I think it was in October of 2017 he started an impeachment drive. So he actually has way more credibility with Democrats, you'd think, than Michael Bloomberg. But Michael Bloomberg is, he's a real billionaire. He's like a real one.
Not a fake one.
Steyer's barely. I mean, it's just embarrassing. I think it's going to be really interesting, though, this debate, because the last 11 or so have not been at all interesting. But this one, with Bloomberg coming in, he's probably a little rusty. Because for 2011, we were thinking it was the last time he actually had a debate, or at least was in office. He's popping in there, second in the polls. If he has a great showing here, he could be in the lead.
Do you think he's going to be the one that now has the target on his back from the way they went after Bernie the last time? Now that he's kind of making a splash and he's the kind of the billionaire who's got the money to blow, do you think they're going to turn their guns on him?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, he's the star of the show, which is hilarious, and it's perfect for Bernie. I mean, Bernie being the front runner is not a good thing for Bernie. He needs to kind of lay back. If he's the focus, he can be easily damaged, because the party, a large part, does not necessarily want Bernie Sanders to be their nominee. But I don't think they're going to want Michael Bloomberg to be the nominee either. And if everyone's focused on Bloomberg, which it seems like they all are, I mean, Biden was released an ad about him. Warren's been going after him. Buttigieg has been going after him. Obviously, Sanders has been going after him. He's taking all the fire, and that's what Bernie Sanders needs. If he can skate through here, he's favored to win in Nevada on Saturday if he doesn't blow this debate. Goes into South Carolina there, where a new poll came out, and he was tied with Joe Biden. I mean, if Biden doesn't win there, he's done. And really then, at that point, it likely becomes a race between Bloomberg and Sanders, which is hilarious.
You're right, though. Bernie, what I've found watching him in these debates is his policies are one follow-up question deep. So, he has his answer that he has, and if he gets pressed at all, the simple, how much does it cost?
How are you going to pay for it?
Or just how much, what's the price tag at all? Yeah. Forget how you're going to dream up the money.
Right.
How much does it actually cost? He completely falls apart.
Yeah. I mean, this happened with
These are minor details.
You can't put a price tag on people's health. Jason. Come on.
That's the follow-up. He did
should be on his campaign.
town hall with Anderson Cooper the other day, and they asked him. They said, "Hey, you really don't like all this money with politics with Bloomberg," and of course he doesn't. And Cooper had a great follow-up question, which was, "So if you're the nominee, are you going to take Bloomberg's money?" And he literally just stood there in silence. Like he couldn't even come up with a guttural noise to let him know what way he was leaning on it.
Just that noise.
And it was so awkward. And Cooper's just like, all right, okay then, all right.
And that's the weird dynamic that's going to be in this debate is people are going to be looking at it like, well, I do want these millions down the road, so I can't go too hard. But people like Biden and Klobuchar, they're not going to have a chance at the nomination if they don't take down Bloomberg first. They can't even get to Bernie until they take Bloomberg because he's taking their votes and their delegates.
I think Bernie was thinking of his houses and if he wanted to keep them, and so he just couldn't quite get to.
Well, while we're on the topic of Bernie, the recent polling that just came out shows that a total of 57% of voters either had some reservations or were very uncomfortable about a candidate who had had a heart attack in the last year. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays for Bernie. The results also showed that his socialist views might, surprisingly, I guess, be an even bigger hurdle for him. 67% of voters said that they had either some reservations or were very uncomfortable about a socialist candidate. So again, we're having this conversation about Bernie versus Bloomberg, but when you look at the voting bloc in the general, there are some hurdles for him to cross for sure.
His vice presidential selection is going to be so crucial to those voters who are kind of supporting him but not really sure, because if he picks a vice presidential candidate that they don't like. We don't like to be morbid here, but I mean, he did have a heart attack. He is very old. That is a concern that people might have to say, well, I don't want Stacey Abrams to be president, so maybe I'm a little bit worried about that choice, or whoever he might pick.
Yeah.
Why did you pick a black person?
Wow.
I mean,
So,
I admit it.
the debate is going to be 2 hours, by the way, only 2 hours to sit through as opposed to the 3 that they used to be.
Oh, thank God.
So we're down, we're down an
hour
hour.
is really where things heat up. So I'm a little disappointed.
Right. There's 5 moderators. It's going to be Lester Holt, Chuck Todd, Hallie Jackson, Vanessa Hawk, and John Ralston. And there will be 6 of them, so I think we covered most of them. But Joe Biden, Mike Bloomberg, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Sanders, of course, and then Warren. Stu,
One more thing on Sanders when you're going on, because, obviously the heart attack thing is legitimate, right? The guy's almost 80 years old.
Yeah.
He just had a heart attack. Like things, that's a legitimate concern for a voter. And he promised to put his health records out there. And again, was asked in that same town hall last night, hey, you going to put those things out like you promised? And he said no. He's just a flat out no. And that is it's unbelievable, right? The fact that any of these candidates would not give that much, like the tax information, okay, there's a personal aspect to that. I think it is our business to be able to know, just generally speaking, are they in good health?
Well, especially after he had already said that he would. And now he's backtracked and said, no, never mind.
Is that proof that there's more? I mean, obviously it's not proof, but does that really suggest?
Yeah, because
you've got to know the optics are not going to be good for you if you backtrack something like that.
Because the damage of not doing it is probably worse unless there's something bad in it, right?
Right.
And the same point that Democrats make about Trump with the tax returns, right? Look, is Trump probably trying to hide something in his tax returns? Probably, right? It probably is. Either it's, he doesn't want to look like he's, got away with paying a very low rate, or whether he doesn't have as much money as he says he has, or whatever the reason is. The bottom line is, if he, it wouldn't be a big deal. He could obviously release them, but he knows that even if it's just his opinion, is they're going to misconstrue intentionally things that they see in there. Bernie could have the same idea. Maybe he takes a medication that can be used for multiple things, but one of them is really scary. Who knows? The bottom line is, you can't say you're going to do it and then not do it. You should.
Look,
do
I
it.
think if you're going to be president, I think I wouldn't mind that being a requirement. We should know if you're
How
healthy.
much money you make is inconsequential, but whether or not you are
you going to live
fit,
4
right?
years?
You're physically fit to do the job happens to be a big deal.
You got to think about Democratic voters. Even if he makes it through the first term, they're not going to necessarily, if he's too old to run again, they're not going to want another contested primary. They're going to want an incumbent to be able to run in 2024. So there's longer term implications to it as well. Even if he's alive at that point, I mean, it's hard to run.
They can do the literal.
This is weird to talk about, but
I don't
yeah,
know.
it's hard to run a presidential campaign in your 80s. I mean, that's not an insult. That's just reality.
Which, surprisingly, Joe Biden, of all people, understands, because he was the one who went out there when he was stumping and said, I understand who I pick as vice president. Really important.
I'm not going to be here long, so
I'm
yeah.
super old, in case you didn't know, guys.
Go vote for somebody else.
Yes.
Right, yeah. There is always the chance that I might die at any moment, so there's
What you want out of politicians, honesty, right?
Right. Whenever we come back, I want to get your thoughts on just the level of pandering that some of these more minor candidates are going through. You know, you've got Buttigieg, who made the comments that Christians shouldn't be voting for Trump, shouldn't be Trump supporters. And then you've got Warren and Klobuchar, who, you know, they're the women still in the race. Gabbard is in the race, but she's not in the debate. And so naturally, they have to just go out and make complete fools of themselves. So we'll get into that after the break. But by the way, if you are one of many men who maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable, it's a little bit awkward because you feel like you're at that age where you're losing your hair, you don't have to go through that, all right? You can keep your hair without even leaving your couch with Keeps. So Keeps offers the generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products. So what that's doing is that's getting you the same medication that's going to help you keep your hair, and you're also saving a ton of money. All you have to do is go online, you answer a couple questions, take a couple pictures of your hair, and a licensed doctor will review everything and recommend the right hair loss treatment for you. They ship it discreetly to your door. I don't think it's something you should be embarrassed about, but just in case you are, it's all done very discreetly. It's very easy. Done from the comfort of your own home. You can be a total couch potato while you do it. And a whopping 66% of men experience hair regrowth thanks to Keeps. Yeah, so there's that. Let's do something about your hair loss. Go to Keeps.com. That is KEEPS.com/Y to get your first order of Keeps hair loss treatment for 50% off. Yes, I said 50. You don't want to miss out on this deal. That is Keeps.com/Y. Keeps.com/Y. Just going over the presidential candidates on the Democratic side and just the level of, I think, desperation that some of them have reached, I should say. I think it's getting to Beto level. I want to let you guys, yeah, I know.
Never go full Beto.
Right? I want to let you guys decide, but, you know, just let's talk about a couple different things. Number one is Pete Buttigieg, obviously, you know, coming out and saying Christians shouldn't support Trump. Which is an interesting flex for him, but okay. And then you've got Klobuchar and Warren. So let's play Klobuchar first. Klobuchar was at the Culinary Union Forum, and she told this really weird story about when she was in 4th grade and she took Spanish class, and this was her way of introducing herself to the people at this forum. Watch.
About me, my name is Amy. When I took Spanish in 4th grade, my name was Elena. They gave me the name me llamo Elena because I couldn't roll my R's very, very well, and so it was Elena. And I am just first. My story is this.
This feels like a really bad open mic set, is what it feels like. It's so uncomfortable.
There's no R in Amy.
Somebody should have stood up and asked the question. We need to know, what is your real name? Because there's some identity issues going on here.
She said, they gave me the name Elena because I couldn't roll my R's. There's no R in her name. I'm so confused.
The R is silent?
No. No!
I do remember, I feel like when I took language back in the day, they did give us a different name. Is that a normal thing? Like I had a French name for the French class.
They do that, but...
What was your French name?
Etienne.
Etienne?
Etienne, yeah. Etienne. I remember that.
Huh.
Etienne.
Nice.
My name is kind of French sounding. It actually rolled pretty well together. Etienne Bouguier.
Okay, but when did you take French?
Sound like a French
because
guy,
she said this happened in 4th grade.
Yeah,
We took that. We started in middle school. We didn't take foreign language in elementary school.
I think my kids started taking it in kindergarten.
Mine did too.
So it is
but
younger now.
Amy Klobuchar is not, to my knowledge, our kids' age.
But hold on.
We're getting off
base because the real question is why other than the fact that she's talking to Hispanic people.
Right.
What is the point of bringing
She
that
didn't
up?
have to lie about the R just to pander. Like,
like-
it was such an unnecessary
We really
thing
need
to-
this fact check.
As if they are going to be like, well,
If this is not the
now
first debate question,
my
this whole
vote is
thing
made up now because she had a nickname when she took. I mean, it's so
Pandering,
painful.
I know.
And such a,
She's pandering.
yes, thank you. It's a good role.
She also, I mean, she did say me amo Amy, so she obviously, or me amo Elena, so she obviously speaks Spanish. So
Oh,
she
that
has
was
my
pretty
vote.
deep.
It was
That
very,
Right.
it was fluent.
She said me amo, obviously. And then you have, just to enter into the conversation, you have Elizabeth Warren, who is talking about how much of a mess the White House is. And so obviously you need a woman to come and clean up the mess.
And when you've got a mess and you really need it cleaned up, call a woman to get the job done.
Sounds like a Bloomberg quote right
Point
there.
point out the lie, though. Point out the lie.
I mean, that's enough. If a Republican said that, they
my
would get
God.
canceled.
Yeah, you're right.
That is a sexist statement according to their standards.
It totally is. I mean, she's just more of an idiot than a sexist, I think. That's the problem. She's able to get away with it, I guess, because of that. I mean, but you're right. Even if a male Democrat said that, there would
Correct.
be major problems. I mean, and it wouldn't, we all know what she meant by that. It's not actually a sexist comment, but they
live
would
and die
act
by your
as
own
if
standards.
it was. Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't give benefit of the doubt to anybody anymore, so she shouldn't get it either.
Do you guys think that, does Klobuchar, Warren, how much longer do they last in this race?
It's interesting because Klobuchar really has the issue of money. She did raise a bunch of money after that debate, and she performed well in New Hampshire, but she does not have the structure to support an ongoing campaign without miracles. Warren raised a lot of money, but she spent a lot of money too, and she's in trouble. Where Buttigieg has been so good at raising money over a long period of time, he might be able to withstand a little bit more. But I don't know how Klobuchar hangs on without a run. What's really interesting about this is we all kind of go into these first early states and say, well, if the person wins this state, they're going to get a momentum burst here, they're going to get a momentum burst here. We haven't really seen that. I mean, Buttigieg, I guess, showed up pretty well in New Hampshire, but I mean, he's still in 5th or 6th place in these polls. He's at 8% nationally. No one seems to be noticing him. He's not popping in South Carolina. He's not popping with African-American voters, which is weird. I mean, I feel like this has not been the way it's worked before. Same thing with Sanders. I mean, Sanders, ties in Iowa, wins New Hampshire. You'd think he would pop him to a 10-point lead. There have been some polls that have reflected a pop, but not that much. And he doesn't feel like a major frontrunner. He feels like a very weak frontrunner. I don't know how you stop him at this point, unless you got, $1 billion to throw around, so you might be able to do something. But it's, really at this point, these secondary candidates, and, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Warren, and Biden is probably, and Gabbard certainly, but Biden's probably in this category too, because he's never been good at raising money either. These people need wins. They need major wins. They need miracles. They need to outperform what people are expecting. If Joe Biden comes in and finishes 2 points behind Sanders in second place and then wins South Carolina, this can turn around. It's not. It's still not impossible. Biden is still second in most national polls, but he shows no life. And I think that's why everyone just thinks he's done.
It goes to show that these early states, everybody pours all this money into them, even the sort of secondary candidates. And some of them should have probably gotten ahead to say, okay, maybe I'll just go to South Carolina and Nevada. Because Klobuchar, she does well in New Hampshire, and then suddenly she's scrambling and say, oh, I need to build an organization in South Carolina because I didn't even think I would get here. And so she doesn't have any chance to really do anything past New Hampshire and Iowa because that's where she put all her money.
And that's the brilliance of the Bloomberg thing. And a lot of people are like, well, he spent all his money on ads, and that's why he's doing well. Well, really what he's been able to do better than anybody else is not necessarily that he's spending on ads. It's that he's running unopposed in Super Tuesday states. There's nobody else who has any money to run ads in these states. So he's running them all by himself. And not only is he running ads, which he's run over, he's spent $400 million on ads, and everyone keeps quoting that number, but he's also taking field organizers that usually make $30,000 a year and paying them $85,000. So all of the best people are coming to him. Shockingly, the market works. And then in addition to that, like they were describing his events, where you go and what do you do when you want to buy, if you want to buy a Trump t-shirt right now, you go on Trump2020.com, buy a t-shirt. He's just handing them out for free. He doesn't care. He doesn't need your money. He's got cheese plates, beer at his rallies. He's got people.
Cheese plates?
Cheese plates. And everyone else is like, maybe you get a sandwich or a bag of chips.
I'm coming around right now.
I was about to say, is there a Bloomberg rally in Dallas coming up soon?
Yeah, they had an interview with a bunch of like biker Republicans who are like, I'm voting for Trump, but I'm getting the free beer. He is able to do everything that you'd want to do.
Yeah.
And he didn't need those early states. He didn't need to compete in those areas because the only reason you care about those first 4 states, it's not the delegates, it's to build momentum to get money for those later states. He doesn't need that. And so he has hacked the system in a way like that.
Jason, Stu's not wrong, but I just can't get over the Democrats keep telling us that we can't have an old white billionaire. And yet here Michael Bloomberg is, and he's gaining all of this traction.
The top two, you have an old white billionaire and you have an old white millionaire who wants more of your money. It's amazing how it all shaped out for them to basically be what they despise and then add socialism on top of it. I think it's fantastic. And I really want Bloomberg to be the nominee just because I know during the debates with Trump, at some point Trump's going to get out from behind his podium and go stand next to him to show America how much taller he is.
Does he use a box tonight? Now that Trump has called him out.
They said, yeah.
They said he's not, but I think because he called, and he knew those cameras would be zooming in on
to get that money shot.
Which is such a good shot, by the way.
Yeah, it's so good. I really do want Bloomberg to be the nominee, though, just solely for the fact that I want to hear 9 months of Democrats telling me why it's okay to vote for a billionaire.
Yes.
I want them to tell me why it's okay to buy an election for 9 months. I want them to tell me how great a decision Citizens United was for 9 months. I just want it so badly.
I agree. But so do you think that Bloomberg, because remember Steyer had that weird moment where he was like, I don't think billionaires should exist either. But what? Does Bloomberg take that approach too? Or is he like, screw you guys? I'm a billionaire and I'm proud of it.
Who doesn't care about those kind of standards.
Too.
He's doing what he's going to do. He's insulted every demographic possible at this point. And he's still double digits in the polls, so he has no reason to bow down to anybody else. He doesn't need their money. He clearly doesn't need the support of the establishment of the party, so he's just going to do things how he wants to do them.
He very much has a totalitarian, let me take care of you streak, and that plays well for him too. So
yeah. He's a big Woodrow Wilson style progressive. Yeah. He's definitely a technocrat, and he has that in him. The other part about him is we did this thing a while ago on radio where we matched up the 2016 Republicans, who's the 2020 Democrat, and I said Bloomberg is Trump. Mm-hmm. He is their Trump because he doesn't care. He disagrees with the party on a lot of different things. He's not he's been on both parties, right? Just like Trump. He's got all this money, all these resources, and he's got the FU money, right? Like he just doesn't care. So he'll come out and he'll blurt out whatever the hell he has to try to win, and it's difficult to figure out a way, if you're a normal Democrat, to beat him. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think he's going to win the nomination. I still think Sanders is much more likely than he is, but still, he may be their only choice. And they hate both of them. They don't like Sanders or Bloomberg. Neither one of them is a Democrat. Right. Sanders is not a Democrat. Bloomberg is not a Democrat. It's hilarious that they're coming down to a millionaire and a billionaire, tons of vacation homes all over the place, 2 old white guys. Neither one of them are even in the party. I mean, this is so awesome.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Up next, former presidential candidate Cory Booker's girlfriend, Rosario Dawson, comes out in a new interview, or does she? We'd really like your help in deciding because we can't quite figure it out. But first, by now, most of us, just saying I do, understand why it's so important to use natural products in our homes. This guy probably still hasn't figured it out because he's like very pro.
You figured it out. As Elizabeth Warren told us, it's a mess. So you figured out how to clean.
See, thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I am the qualified person to tell you about where to find the good quality cleaning items, household items, things of that nature, high quality, natural, non-toxic, sustainably sourced items that you need. You got to go to Grove Collaborative for these. They are an online marketplace that they have all natural home products, beauty products, personal care products. They ship it directly to you. Everything is green, and everything is guaranteed to be good and safe for you, your family, your pets, your home, the planet, all those awesome, nice, warm and fuzzy things. So you don't have to go to Whole Foods and spend way too much money on these really awesome green products. All you got to do is go to Grove Collaborative. You can visit grove.co/news. That is grove.co/news. You will get free shipping and also a free 5-piece cleaning set from Mrs. Meyer's. I have it. It's awesome. You don't want to miss out on it. It is a $30 value. Go to grove.co/news to get this offer. Grove.co/news. Actress Rosario Dawson, who unfortunately for her is dating former presidential candidate Cory Booker. Here's the deal. everyone is saying, the headlines are reading that she, quote, came out in a recent interview with Bustle. Okay. Now, here are the facts. And Stu, tell me if I'm missing anything.
Okay.
Because you covered this on radio pretty extensively, I might say.
Thank you. We actually read the entire story word for word because I could not figure out what actually occurred.
Right. So, according to Bustle, in 2018, Rosario Dawson posted an Instagram picture and was celebrating Gay Pride Month, right? So she wrote, "Happy Pride Month, sending love to my fellow LGBTQ homies." I'm sorry, LGBTQ plus.
Thank you.
Homies. Don't send me hate mail, okay? "Keep being strong in the face of adversity, loud and proud." And then, of course, a couple months later, it came out that she was dating Cory Booker. And then she just did this interview and she said, "People keep saying that I came out. I didn't do that. I mean, it's not inaccurate, but I never did come out. I guess I am now."
What?
I don't know. And then she said, "I've never had a relationship in that space, so it's never felt like an authentic calling to me."
In what space? You have not explained what space it is.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
There's no like follow up or like just to clarify, I'm gay or I'm non-binary or anything. It's just that's it.
The story said that she has not said out loud what she is identifying as.
How are you coming out?
I feel like you're not, right? Like coming out is the thing where you explain what you are, right? I mean, like that's kind of what the coming out process is. If you are gay and you're not telling people, when you tell people you're gay, that's when you come out. You don't just say I'm coming out. It's like Michael Scott saying I declare bankruptcy. That's not how it works. You have to go to court and file paperwork or something. So I don't understand exactly what's going on here, and I've tried to, and I've read this story probably 5 or 6 times because I'm fascinated by it, and I think I have a theory at least.
Oh, I can't. Okay, let's go.
Well, there's 2 competing theories, but I'll give it. So my belief is what she has come out as is bisexual.
Okay.
So she's currently still dating Cory Booker, but she's saying she's bisexual, so she also is interested in women. However, since she's dating Cory, she's not dating women. She's also never actually been with a woman before. The reason why, again, it's a total guess because none of the stories say it.
The only thing that makes sense,
Well, there's one other thing that makes sense is that Cory Booker is a woman.
Is a woman.
That's problematic because she would have then outed him by coming out.
Well, that could be why they're not saying it. Like maybe Cory Booker is a woman and they're not explaining the details of it.
Because he's not ready.
Because he's not ready. It's not
not
her story to tell. It's his story to tell. But I really do think that because she hasn't said it, they're in their woke world, right, where number one rule of woke world is you have to praise whatever thing she's doing here, right? Like you have to say it's fantastic no matter what it is. And number 2, you can't say what it is unless she says it.
Right.
So they're trying to praise the thing without naming it, which is like fantastic. Like they're like in this circuitous sort of thing where they can't actually talk about it, but they have to talk about it. And they have to say how wonderful it is, but they can't say what it is.
Well, there's another aspect to it is that the acronym includes allies. That's one of the letters in there.
Right,
so is she just an
is it
ally?
really? Is that what AA is?
That's what I was looking into this today because I'm curious.
Oh, let's see the reporter.
Curious is one too. I think there's a C in there for you.
So maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
Did I just come out? No. But maybe she means she's just an ally. She's just, showing her support.
You come out as an ally?
She said I didn't come out. She posted this in 2018.
She said I didn't come out then. I guess I am now.
I guess.
But that's it. She doesn't give any more info.
Here's what I'm trying to figure out, though. It's supposed to be. I don't get why she wouldn't be proud to say it.
Right.
Like especially in her world, like it makes her like a hero.
Right. Exactly.
So like, why would you not say it?
Yeah.
Be like, I'm this.
I think we don't need to be concerned for Cory Booker right now because he's probably going through a tough time.
Or maybe he's not.
Maybe he's not.
Or
maybe she's not. Meaning Cory.
Oh, meaning Cory.
We don't know.
This is getting confusing.
But I really think like this is a story that like it's about sort of that woke culture and all that stuff. But really, it's a journalism story. It's a story about the media. They can't even say what is in their own stories. Like it's they've made so many crazy walls and lines of what they can and cannot say. They can't even explain to the reader
get a
what they're
celebrity
reading.
On the cusp of revealing this news, and then you just move on to something else. Like the one follow-up. That's all it took.
Yeah,
one little.
Well, you're coming out. Well, what
would you care to elaborate?
Yeah, like
I mean,
and
it's a safe
maybe
space
she said
to do
no.
that.
I don't know. But like if you
Now it should go in the story, so we should know.
Right.
But then it's not you don't even write the story. She hasn't come out. right?
You
If
can
she
clickbait
says-
it.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's what happened. Is I just fell for a lot of clickbait. But it's amazing that they can't even talk about the thing they're trying to talk about. That's a weird world. That's not supposed to be what journalism is. And like, you really should be like, if you want to tell people this story, you have to be willing to ask the follow-up questions. And if you're not willing to ask the follow-up questions, then you don't write the story.
But I mean, I completely agree with you. I'm trying to put myself in the position of the reporter who probably just doesn't want to get canceled and is way hypersensitive about like, well, but if I ask this, am I going to get in trouble? Is it going to be seen as homophobic or whatever, right?
To your point earlier, right? Like this is the world they've created.
Yeah.
Like they're living by their own rules and they're being destroyed by their own rules.
It's scary
It
to
is.
live in this world. Even me as like somebody who doesn't really care about that stuff, even when I speak, I'm like, I have to think, like, is this going to be the end? Like, for me. Like,
Wow, what are you saying, Jason?
no one should have to, and then when it seeps into journalism, like you said, that's like dangerous because then you're talking about information. Like for this, it's a silly story. But with other stuff, like it could have real implications for things that we need to know that we will never know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other issues like transgender stuff that like just the coverage gets painted
Right.
and gets such a bias to it that we kind of lose track of what we're even talking about anymore.
I mean, you even said you read the post. I mean, I think she hashtags it loud and proud. She
Yes,
doesn't seem to be
loud
either
and
one
proud.
of those two things.
We need to invite Cory Booker to the debate tonight to answer for this.
Yes.
So that we can get to the bottom of this. This is
Oh,
important.
That's the only way.
That's great. Okay, but I do want to bring up another theory really quickly.
Okay, sorry.
So Rosario Dawson and her family are being sued right now by a transgender who used to work in their home and claims that they were verbally abusive to, I can't remember if they're now a male or a female, but to Shim. And like they accidentally dead named this person.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, horrific
Oh my
stuff, right? Stuff you don't come back from, really. And so now all of a sudden she's saying, after this lawsuit, she's saying that she's coming out. Maybe it's to help her defense in this lawsuit that how could I verbally abuse someone who is in my own community?
Wow. I mean, that's
It's a very cynical way
Yeah.
of looking at it. It seems almost discriminatory towards Rosario.
Wow.
That you would accuse her of
wow.
that. But I mean, I'm not saying that. People are saying that. I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying.
I heard someone say it too. It was him,
Yeah.
but I heard someone say it.
And so now I've heard two people say it, so now it's like really.
Now it's a thing. I'm going to go write a story about
Yeah.
this.
You're
in a
going to have to
minute.
answer for it now.
Screw all you guys. Back in a minute.
That's an amazing story.
That is.
What is happening?
And it really is.
Who
I
was
mean,
the other?
Attorney General Bill Barr has apparently told people close to him that he is considering resigning from his role at the DOJ because of President Trump's decision to continue tweeting about department matters, which he says undermine his role. Of course, that caused Trump to continue tweeting about DOJ matters and said everybody has the right to speak their mind. I use social media. I think he's doing an excellent job. This is what I don't get. Trump has always been very complimentary of Barr. He said, I think he's doing an excellent job. He's a strong guy. I never spoke to him about the Roger Stone situation. Roger Stone, by the way, just so you know, never worked for my campaign. I just like to throw that in there. But apparently Barr told ABC News last week that Trump's tweets were, quote, very disruptive to the department, saying, I think the essential role of the Attorney General is to keep law enforcement, the criminal process, sacrosanct, to make sure there is no political interference in it. Jason, we don't want to lose Barr, right? What's the answer here?
Well, he's right in
Yeah.
that in terms of Trump is unprecedented in the
Yes.
way that he uses social media.
Yes.
And he's unprecedented in the way that he's not afraid to talk about things that he probably shouldn't be talking about.
And
He just
bureaucrats
doesn't
are
care.
not used to it.
The bureaucrats are not used to it. And for Barr, any report I'm always skeptical of, so I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah.
But I would understand his frustration as the top law enforcement official having to deal with that.
Right.
So that being said, when you take that job, it's something you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like for him, like that's just a decision he has to make. He's not going to stop. Trump's not going to stop. So he needs to decide, can he deal with that? And that's why Trump sees a lot of turnover. I would imagine he's hard to work with. I get it. But his voters like that he tweets. His supporters had that kind of access to the president. So it's not going to change. So the next guy who comes in, if Barr leaves, needs to know that going in. And if you act like you don't, then it's kind of your fault if you get fed up and want to throw a tantrum and leave. But Trump is who he is, and it's not going to change.
Yeah, Aaron.
It probably seems like one thing from the outside to what it's like to work for Trump, and then it probably feels like another thing in the midst of it. I could believe that Barr probably got upset maybe about the tweets and probably aired his frustrations to somebody in his office. That's probably where a leak like this would come from. I think the DOJ denied that this was a thing, that he was thinking about quitting. It's an anonymous report, so you'll never really know. I understand his frustration, but I don't think it's going to change. He's going to have to deal with it. I would like if Trump would kind of back off on this thing a little bit and listen to what Barr is saying, because he is a good attorney general, and you don't want to alienate him for something that is unnecessary. But Trump is who he is, so he's going to do this.
Yeah. Really quickly, a group of parents in Wisconsin, they are not happy with their public school policy that apparently allows teachers to affirm their children's, quote, gender identity without the parents' knowledge or consent. So they are taking the matter to court. According to the lawsuit filed yesterday, Madison Metropolitan School District's policy, they allow children to socially transition to a different gender identity at school without parental notice or consent, requires all teachers to enable this transition, and then prohibits teachers from communicating with parents about this potentially life-altering choice without the
this topic, not transgender, but the topic of the schools taking control from parents of their own kids is, I think, one of the biggest issues for the next decade, because you've seen this happen, slowly, where it's the community, right, that needs to raise the children. If the parents are backwards thinking or they're country bumpkins who still believe in traditional values, we have to step in as the state, whether it's through the schools or whatever it is. Parents need to I commend these parents for taking it legal immediately, but parents everywhere need to be aware of what's going on in schools, and a lot of us aren't, right? My kids aren't in school yet, thank God, but I'm going to be the biggest nightmare for whatever school my sons end up going to, because you have to be involved, because this kind of stuff can go on. And I mean, there's a situation where this could happen and nobody knew, right? Until it's already been implemented. And so I commend these parents, but this issue of really stopping this creep into taking parents' responsibility away from raising their kids the way they want them to be raised, regardless of what society says is the right way, is so important. I can't emphasize it enough.
Yeah, to Jason's point, I'm sure it feels really great when it's something you agree with, and then it turns into something you don't agree with, and you're like, oh, crap, that's not good.
Gone are the days where you can send your kids to school and just be like, oh, I trust that they're going to do what's in the best interest of this child, and that it's going to align with what I'm doing.
And focus on school matters, right, and not social issues.
The idea that the school should be involved in social matters like gender identity and take that away from them, I mean, there's a lot of moral wrong with that, in my opinion, but it just goes to show, like you say, parents have to be involved in the school. You have to know the teachers, know the administration, know the policies. I think a lot of parents aren't used to that. I think a lot of parents send your kids to school, they come home on the bus, and it's like you just think that things are okay, but now you have to be on a watch.
It's not even just school, though. It's like you see the same thing with the abortion. Like doctors want to be able to give underage girls abortions without telling the parents. Consent. So it's like across the board, they're trying to enact policies that do this through governmental means, and then it drips down, and then before you know it, your kids can be doing these things that you have no control over, that we would have thought was unfathomable 20 years ago.
Elementary school kids the ability to choose their gender, or 16-year-olds the ability to go get an abortion without parental consent. When you make all these the norm, then suddenly you take that away from the parents, and you say the parents don't have as much authority as they used to over how their child grows up, how they live, and this is just a logical extension of that.
How big of a factor do you think the parents who don't do anything are, right? Because you guys are obviously, you're good parents, you're involved parents. I feel the same way that you do, but I feel like there is a big subset of parents who are driving this, who are the ones who they want the schools to parent their children. They don't want to be involved. They want to send their kids to school to be babysat all day and then come home on the bus, and they don't have to do anything.
Well, apathy is the same reason why the Democrats are probably going to nominate a socialist to be their candidate, right? We tend to not be civically involved. Because, I mean, and it doesn't mean we're bad people, but we're busy. We have busy lives. We have jobs. We have this or that, and it's easy just to think, send them off to school and they'll take care of them and they're fine. They come home, everything's fine. But I think it's our responsibility, and it's a tough one. It's hard. Being a parent of just a 2-year-old is hard, but that's the choice you make. And so I do feel like we bear the brunt of it because there's school board meetings that you don't go to, that this was probably talked about and approved, and where are the parents? Where were they to stop it before it happened?
Well, I feel for the parents who maybe work or have responsibilities that just prevent them from being involved, because everybody can't do that. It's not a choice for everybody. So they're putting full trust in the school system because they have to do what they have to do to provide for their family, and they're the ones that are really getting punished by this because maybe they didn't have a say at the school board meeting.
So maybe the answer is transparency. Like, pass a local law that says they have to send you the minutes and any items that were passed or agreed upon at school board, whatever it is. Like, there has to be a way for additional transparency for parents to be involved.
But as we know, big government is not about transparency, so it's just not going to happen.
I was a local reporter in West Virginia, in like the smallest parts of West Virginia, up near Morgantown. I covered school boards for one of my first couple jobs, right? It is a microcosm of what the federal government is. It is not easy to get information. It is full of politics, backroom deals. Like, it's everything you think it would be, and then you realize these are the people who are teaching our kids and mentoring our kids and have them, for a lot of kids, the majority of their day, that's who they're with and that's who they're being shaped by. So it's a big deal.
Yeah. All right, back in a minute. Before we go, the National Media Research Planning and Placement did a survey, drink choice versus political opinion. So it shows where you line up in Democrat skew, Republican skew versus low turnout or high turnout for the voter turnout index. Jason, what's your happy hour drink of choice?
It's pretty accurate. Bourbon.
Okay.
Same.
Aaron?
Same.
Me too.
And that's on the right in this spectrum,
It's
right?
on the right in the
Active.
high turnout. And if I'm not drinking bourbon whiskey, I have Cabernet and Merlot, which are both in the high turnout Republican skew.
Am I correct that the furthest right was Coors Original? Is that, which is accurate to the people I know?
It is a little bit underneath the high turnout. It's about average turnout, but so is Miller Lite and Coors Light. Blue Moon is right there, so it's leaning Republican and in the middle of voter turnout, which it's bizarre. So let's look at the left really quickly.
I was gonna say, what's the most lib drink, so I know to never order it?
Okay, do you want to hear something funny? The lowest turnout is any malt liquor. I don't know. It just says, it literally says any malt liquor, which is a weird category to have. But the most skewed Democrat is, how do you say it? Cognac?
Cognac? Cognac. That is perfect. That is the best match for a lib drink. Yes.
How do you say it?
Cognac.
Cognac. What is it? It's a liqueur, right?
Yeah.
Is it sweet?
It's for sissies, so it's perfect. It's perfect.
And then Sauvignon Blanc is a high turnout,
Sure.
skewed Democrat.
Okay. Sure.
So yeah, Jason's like that.
I can see. I think that's what Beto was drinking with his pinky out.
Yesterday's poll: can Mike Bloomberg buy the Democratic nomination? 71% of you said yes. 29% of you said no. Today's poll: which 2020 Dem will say the craziest thing at tonight's debate? Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, or Pete Buttigieg? Those are your options. Sanders, Warren, Biden, or Buttigieg?
Warren is in desperation mode, so I think she might go a little off the rails because she's got to go for it.
I say Biden just because he's like, you never know when something's going to disconnect.
Right, like it won't be
I think the odds are there, like that he could just go off and accidentally say something.
His eye might start squirting blood. Like we don't know what's going to happen with Biden. And I know Klobuchar is not on this. But I also wonder if Klobuchar is one of those.
Everything she says is so scripted and it's just awkward, but it's not really crazy. It's just like a script.
That's true.
Me llamo Army. The R is in there.
Army. Doesn't make any sense, Amy. Explain it to me. I need a follow-up question at the debate. Let us know what you think in this poll. You can go to the Blaze's Twitter, and we will see you guys tomorrow.